Hi everyone, good morning. This is Deborah. I'm having my coffee and today we're going to talk about my friends and what influence they've had over my life. It is crucial that women and men have friends that they can hang out with or call. Now here is the definition of a good friend. The ones that actually answer their phone, right? But each friend that I've had has had different quirks about them. So let's get into this. We'll talk about my sister-in-law who's passed. She was married to my brother, and we've been friends since she was, I guess, 15. So this is, her name is Diane. You've heard me talk about her. And she brought fun into my life. When she was dating my brother, every day, every minute, every second that I got to spend with her, I forgave her for a lot of her behavior. For instance, we would all be waiting for her to show up at my house when I live in Lancaster County, Virginia, and she would be 3-4 hours late. But everybody loved her so much, we just sat there and made the best of it because we knew that she was an extraordinary person even when she was 16. So she ended up having 4 children. Take a drink. So, but when I was with her, no matter what we were doing, she would make it fun. We would be going down the road in her little Volkswagen convertible, and a really good song would come on. Usually it's Motown, and she knew every word. And of course, I can't sing, and everybody who knows me knows I can't sing, but I do like to pretend that I can sing. But she was the only woman I know that could get up. She didn't care if she didn't have her makeup on. She just got up and went and did her thing. She did not converse with anybody. She did not tell anybody anything what she was doing. I'd been on vacation with her to the Bahamas and to Vegas, and she did her own thing, and she didn't wait around for anybody to tell her that it was okay to go. To me, the fact that she felt comfortable without makeup and without getting, dressed to the nines, that led me believe that it's possible for me. Yeah, right. But she would be up at 6 a.m. and everybody else in the hotel room would be getting up, and we'd say, well, where's Diane? Oh, She was a coffee lover like me. She was a coffee lover. She had to go get her coffee. That is probably the number one thing we had in common besides the fact that she loved my brother. Now, she was a beautiful girl, long hair. This was during Farrah Fawcett's time, where Diane would actually could make her hair look like Farrah Fawcett. She wasn't a very good cook. In fact, if you talk to her sons to this day, they will tell you very funny stories about how she almost killed her own sons with food poisoning. They laugh about it. She was very good at cooking pasta. But she was an excellent mom. And I'll tell you why I say that, because she would do these activities even before it was on Pinterest. This was way back before Pinterest. She would come up with these things to do with her children that just blew my mind. Like when they were, they're in their almost 30s now, but when they were young, she would go and, I guess, rent a projector or buy one. Knowing her, she probably bought one, and had sleepovers in the yard with sleeping bags and show movies on the side of her house. she just did wonderful things for her children. She wasn't much of a housekeeper, but that's okay because she's gone now, and I'm sure she has no regrets about whether her house was clean or not. But she showed me how to be spontaneous and how to have fun. She also was very frugal. I remember once in the Bahamas when she had, I think she had breast cancer. She had multitude of medical problems. She had a basket of biscuits or pastries delivered to our room. And she was upset about that she was overcharged 6 cents. Now, this is Diane. She would be on the phone for an hour trying to get back that 6 cents. Also, because her stomach was compromised, she could only eat a very small amount. And I remember her arguing with the kitchen staff at these all-inclusive resorts that she should only be charged children's rates. And they said that she would have to have a document from a doctor before they would do that. I mean, she was very frugal in that way. But in other ways, I think, as my brother said once, she had an affinity of not paying her bills. Yeah. But she was very frugal in some ways. And we have wonderful memories. And I remember when I found out she passed, I went into shock. I even put it on YouTube. She must have had a heart attack. That's the only thing we can think of when she got up in the middle of the night. Quite like Elvis Presley's, where you get up in the middle of the night and then you are deceased in the bathroom. I even had my grandmother died that way. We called her Fatma. That was her name, Fatma. That's what all of us called her. So I'm sure we'll go back to Diane. So now let's get to Dee. Dee is my neighbor that when I lived on 14th Street in Ocean City. I lived there. I left my husband and stayed in our summer home while I was trying to stay away from him, try to get his head straight. Well, you can imagine what he was doing. He was getting a lot of his head straight, right? So I would go upstairs. Now, this was a very exclusive neighborhood. I mean, the mayor lived there. It was beautiful, beautiful. I remember going upstairs and peering out the window, and she would be at her desk, which is directly across the street from me, working. And I kept thinking, she is just so dedicated to whatever she's doing. So I knew she was a hard worker. And one day I saw her outside and I hollered, "Hey, hi, I just want to let you know I enjoy your flowers, your roses." And I remember, because I do know a little bit about horticulture, that I told her that she needed a fungus, her fungus addressed on these roses. She needed a fungicide, okay. So from that point on, she came over to my house and she told me about this funny place that she is buying a home. And it had a really, I can't even believe I can pronounce the town right. It's Sosua, which is in the DR. And she lived in a gated community. She's buying a home there. This was way back in 2007. And she invited me to go, and I went, and I fell in love with the country. But she taught me that sometimes in order to have a friend, you have to be a friend. That means you have to take the step to introduce yourself to somebody, which is what I did that day, because everybody on my side of the street was hoity-toity. They thought just because they were rich that, they were unapproachable. Well, she was different. She reminded me a lot of my mother's sister, who was always cleaning. That's the thing to having a clean house. You have to always be cleaning. But she has a wonderful husband, and they took me under their wings and has taken me on, I don't know, 30 vacations. And she only charges me enough to pay for the electric while I'm there, I guess. So let's have another drink. So Dee taught me, like I said, to look at receipts. My son's girlfriend is like this. She will look with that evil, I'm going to catch you make a mistake at the counter, and she's caught many that I would have just let it go over my head. But Dee, when we go out to eat, she will dissect the bill to make sure it's correct. And the last time I was with her, just last month, she actually got up. She didn't understand one thing on the bill because it was in Spanish. She went and talked to some expats in the Dominican, like, what is this fee for? And she did what I did. She went over and introduced herself and asked a question. And these guys at the table became our friends for the time we were in the DR. They took us to nightclubs. We played pool. And so she taught me not to be afraid to confront people and to ask them questions because, like I said, that's how I met her. And she is a lot like my mother's sister. And she's also a lot like my mother. And me, probably. She talks to anybody and everybody, which I love that trait. We're not, neither of us are inhibited or we have any constraints about talking to anybody, because you never know if that one person is having such a bad day and you might be the highlight of their life. But Dee has taught me how to be frugal. She uses coupons, and coupons are not so popular as they once was. She would even give me coupons to save money. But what I love about her is when I was in my deepest part of my life, my darkest part, I had lost 40 pounds. My clothes were falling off of me. All my rings fell off. I had lost that much weight. I was going through withdrawal from my husband. I had a red Hummer, and she, because she lived across the street from me, she knew that I had not moved that Hummer in 7 weeks. So she actually came over and checked on me. And I told her, I said, I'm just so depressed. I can't do anything. I ate everything in my cupboard, even the sardines, because I was just too distraught. I was like a little bit in denial, and I was realizing at that time that my marriage was over. And she was the only one that actually knocked on my door and checked on me. So yeah, Dee she's taught me how to save money, how to pinch pennies. Of course, Diane was teaching me that too. Now, I have my lifelong friend, Carolyn, I've known since 7th grade. We shared, I think it was a science class together, and I caught the science table, our table, on fire with the butane thing, whatever. But we became friends because of our mothers. Our mothers were not good to us girls. We were both the oldest. Well, no, I think she has a brother that's older. Yeah, we had mothers that would be very aggressive with us, and there's no other way to put it other than we were abused. Mentally and physically, I'm sure. And that's was our connection, is that we both had the same issues with our mom. And both of us had a job at 16, and both of us had our own car at 16. I had 2 jobs and went to high school. And we were very independent, extremely independent. She still is that way, and I'm still that way. She is the one that I call, because she puts everything in perspective, if you know what I mean. She's that kind of friend. She will take like a half-hour conversation that I'm giving her, and she'll give me feedback, and then I think about it for a minute and I go, oh my God, she's right. I love her attitude about life. She doesn't take any crap from anybody. She'll tell you like it is, and that's the kind of friend that you really want. One that tells you what you don't want to hear. She does not sugarcoat anything. She just comes right out there and tells you what you need to know. And she's been to more of my family functions than some of my own family. She's driven me to hospitals for operations. She's been there for the aftercare. She's also, for operations, and she's just been there, and also in the darkest times of my life. And I think, if anybody, I think she knows me better than anybody else. I think she knows me better than my own grown children. So now, Carolyn is the only one I think I've ever met that has had the same job for over 40 years. To me, that is amazing accomplishment. She's very grounded. I, on the other hand, sometimes I'm not, but okay. Now, I did have another friend. Her name was Annie. We got along great. We met in the sand in Ocean City. I think it was late March. It was a good day, except those mayflies was out. And I carry everything you could possibly need in my purse. I actually had a fly swat, and I saw her crying on the beach, but not to embarrass her. I saw that the flies were landing on both of us, and I offered my fly swat to her, and I realized she was crying, and she did not know I was going through the same thing. She had just finished her divorce, I believe, and we became good friends for about 3 years. She helped me move. She's had to deal with the police. She's had to deal with, she's even had to see firsthand my ex when the judge gave me an order to go to my previous home and get my furniture. She was there dealing with 2 cop cars, two cars loaded with cops, because my ex refused to let me even in the house, and she had to witness what I had to deal with him. He refused. Of course, the police said, you have to obey this judge's order. And he goes, no, I'll just call my other friend who's a judge, and we'll just get this fixed right now. And the cops kind of like laugh at him. They actually told me to step aside, and they went in the house and talked to him, letting him know he was being foolish. But Annie was right there loading the trucks, and she was there doing the heavy work too that some guys can't even do. But she was a wonderful friend until I met this guy. And the first time we went, me and her went to meet him, she had actually told him that I would be a terrible housewife, and and I go, what a terrible thing to say. I found this out later, and she apologized, I think 2 years later. But yeah, she told him that I was be a terrible, terrible housewife. And I go, why would you say such a thing? She told me it's because she wanted to keep me to herself. And then we had another issue where we were getting ready for the date, and I told her to go and use another mirror in the house so that I could have, you know, so we could get ready faster. She got so upset, she threw a fit. That's my first inclination that she had some mental disorders, and she actually lost a very good job because of her mental state. And come to find out, she was bipolar, and I think she's gotten her disability from that. It crippled her. It just crippled her. And I remember saying to her once, I said, you know, you're always crying. You're always crying. And when I left my ex, I was always crying too. So I could relate to her. But it's not fun to be around somebody who's always down. And but I think what broke up our relationship, there was this ugly guy in Colonial Beach who had taken an old farmhouse and refurbished it, and he hired her to do some of the cleanup work and stuff. And she thought him and I were seeing each other. No, he actually came into Walgreens once and hugged me during COVID, which I just pushed him away. No, there was nothing between us, but you could not tell her any different. She had it in her head. And so I knew then I had to block her. I did it because she could not see the truth, because she just had it in her head that she thought something was going on with us. But I do miss her, and I sent her a Christmas card, but it got sent back. I don't know if she moved or whatever. She lived in West Virginia. So what I'm trying to tell you all is that your friends will bring good things into your life, some bad, but over and all, I am very blessed to have the two friends that I have left. And when you're going through perimenopause, us girls, you know, in the mid 40s, 50s, and 60s, you really need girlfriends. I'm telling you, they will be there for you. Hopefully they'll tell you things that you need to hear. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Bye.